It started with a grainy clip posted at 2:14 a.m., somewhere on the outskirts of Itaewon, where streetlights throw long shadows, and most people are either home or too drunk to notice anything strange. But someone did. A fan account with barely 300 followers shared a low-resolution video of a black Mercedes idling near a corner bakery that was clearly closed. The window was down. Inside, the driver looked unmistakably like Kim Tae-hyung, V from BTS. No mask, no hat, no attempt to blur the lines between public and private. For almost a full minute, the car didn't move. Then, slowly, it rolled forward. And that's when the real tension started. In the passenger seat, barely visible, was a girl. Not a staff member, not a known celebrity, not even wearing a mask. The clip was shaky. The car's license plate wasn't clear. But the silhouette, especially the posture, the hand, made too much sense for fans to dismiss it outright. By 3 a.m., the post was deleted, but not before it had been reposted, saved, slowed down, and dissected. "Why no tinted windows?" someone asked. "Why that route?" another replied. The timestamp, the street, the fact that it wasn't a highway, but a quiet neighborhood with working CCTV. All of it felt wrong. Too exposed to be private, too deliberate to be casual. Tae-hyung could have taken another way. He could have waited until daylight. He could have had a driver, but he didn't. And now the clip existed. Not proof, not a reveal. Just enough to make fans freeze and ask the one question that had no answer. Why was he driving there, like that, at that hour, and with her? By midday, the focus had shifted from the clip itself to the timeline. Fans began mapping the route, from the bakery corner to the second camera angle, where someone claimed they saw the same car pausing at a red light near Hangangjin. That footage never surfaced, but two separate accounts mentioned seeing a black vehicle with identical rims, one of them even swearing they caught a glimpse of V's profile through the windshield. Another posted, then quickly deleted, a blurry shot of what looked like the girl leaning slightly forward, her hand resting near the dash, hair partially covering her face, posture too relaxed for a manager, too familiar for a stranger. The debate fractured fast. Some insisted it was nothing, just a late-night drive. Others asked, then why was he the one driving? And then came the detail no one could unsee. The bakery where the car had first been spotted was known among fans. Tae-hyung had mentioned it once, years ago, in a casual interview. It wasn't near any of the usual studios or event venues. It was a detour, a place you only pass if you're going out of your way. That set off the second wave. Fans combed through past footage, trying to match his hoodie to the silhouette. Speculation tightened around the choice of car, the lack of security, the absence of haste. He wasn't hiding, someone wrote. That's the part I can't stop thinking about. The girl, still unidentified, became a phantom. Not because of who she was, but because of where she was. Front seat, no tinted glass, past midnight, in motion. No accident, no crowd, no cameras. And yet, someone was watching. By evening, the silence became louder than any denial could have been. No statement, no clarification. Not even the usual rhythm of social media activity from Tae-hyung's side. Just a void, while the clip kept resurfacing in different edits. Slowed, zoomed, filtered, outlined. A new version appeared, showing the exact moment the car stopped at a dim intersection. Brake lights glowing red, a street lamp casting a narrow pool of light across the windshield. That's when the head tilt happened. His, slight, to the side, like he was listening, like someone had said something, like this wasn't a ride, but a conversation that had already lasted long enough to be comfortable. And suddenly, that small movement became the center of everything. That's not how he moves around staff, one user wrote. Another countered, you don't talk like that with someone you're keeping a distance from. A third, then why there? Why now? The location added another layer. It wasn't far from a known fan route, a place where fans sometimes waited during comeback season, hoping for glimpses. Not the best place to go unnoticed. That realization hit hard, because it wasn't about whether it was V, it was about the fact that whoever it was didn't seem to care about being seen. That felt new and wrong, as if the line, that unspoken line between public and private, hadn't just been crossed, but ignored. The question kept spinning, not because anyone had an answer, but because the moment refused to disappear. Why this street, on this night, with that window down? By the next morning, the discussion wasn't just confined to fan spaces anymore. It had leaked into neutral forums, fashion accounts, even driving safety threads, each dissecting the same thing from a different angle. Not who she was, but why he was driving that route at all. A traffic analysis thread popped up, complete with map trajectories and speculation about traffic camera blind spots. A fan managed to overlay the footage timestamp with GPS traffic data from Naver Maps. The street had moderate flow, not empty, not crowded. Meaning, he wasn't hidden. Meaning, people were around. Meaning, he had to know that. That's when the second moment of tension hit. Someone found a short clip from a convenience store security camera across the street. It didn't show his face, but it captured the car. The same car. Headlights idling. One frame, maybe two, showed a shape moving in the passenger seat. Nothing clear, just a suggestion. But that was enough to restart the spiral. More reposts, more analysis. One fan pointed out that the convenience store wasn't on the way home from any of the major agency buildings. This wasn't a detour, they wrote. It was a route. Another replied, a route to what? And then came the unease, subtle but growing. The realization that it wasn't a mistake of being spotted. It was a mistake of being visible in motion. If he had been walking, maybe fans would have framed it as casual. If he had been hiding, maybe it would have felt controlled. But this wasn't either. This was transit, with intent, with direction, with someone else, and no attempt to frame it for the public. One fan posted a screenshot of an old Weverse comment where Taehyung had once joked about loving night drives alone. Alone, they emphasized. That's the part that doesn't sit right anymore. Threads turned defensive. Others grew quiet. A few locked their accounts. The space between, he was just driving, and he knew people might see, kept widening. And in that gap, the conversation soured. No one could prove anything, and yet no one could shake the discomfort. Because even without context, one truth had become too loud to ignore. He didn't need to be there, but he was. By late afternoon, the narrative was no longer about the car, or even the girl. It was about the choice. The choice to be in motion through familiar streets in a familiar city, at a time when most fans were still awake, still watching, still online. The illusion of privacy had broken not because of an accident, but because of presence. Silent, uninterrupted presence in a space that should have been neutral, but wasn't. A Seoul-based fan cafe released a statement asking members not to repost the clip. Another moderator added a comment below. We're not protecting a secret. We're protecting our own ability not to spiral. But the spiral had already happened. An entire thread appeared, titled, When did the rules change? Hundreds of comments. No fighting, just discomfort. Just fans trying to understand whether the boundary had been moved or simply erased. A few tried to pull the conversation back toward reason. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it wasn't her. Maybe this didn't mean anything. But those voices were drowned out by a deeper, quieter unease. Then why didn't he act like it mattered? Why no covered car? Why a neighborhood route? Why the front seat? Why the timing? Not late enough to be invisible. Not early enough to be innocent. The car was seen again that night. Parked, empty. A fan posted a blurry photo. No people in frame. But it was enough to reawaken the thread. Not because the car itself meant anything, but because it was still in the city. Still present. Still too close. One account asked, So are we pretending this didn't happen? Another replied, I just wish he had waited. Or picked another street. Or not that night. That was the last message before the thread was locked. No confirmation. No denial. Just silence. And the imprint of a moment that didn't follow the rules. Not the official ones, but the unspoken ones. The ones that say, if you're going to be seen, don't do it here. Don't do it now.